Hello, and welcome back to Road to Master. Hope you all have an amazing day. We're going over another game here that I played in the local league. I was playing black in this game, and my rating at the time was 1782 versus my opponent, who is 1738. We've played before. I think I got a lucky, well, maybe not quite lucky, but it was a tricky end game. I managed to win, I believe. Anyway, this is a very cool game. Shows you the power of knowing opening ideas. Let's just get straight into it. Right. So my opponent goes e4, obviously the perk. d4, knight f6, knight c3, g6, pretty standard stuff. Bishop e3. What is the point of bishop e3? They are looking for probably likely to be a queen d2. You could probably get away with queen c1 as well. But basically, they're just looking for bishop h6. And then probably some h4, maybe castle queenside, and throw these pawns down the board. There's likely going to be an f4 involved at some point. And it's quite aggressive, actually. The one thing you do have to look out for with bishop e3 is this knight g4 move, which comes into play very quickly. So I carry on, as you do, because it's not a threat yet, and we need to develop, right? F4. Not the best move. The best move is saying either queen d2, like we said, or knight f3, and just develop, which is both fine. The reason f4 is not a great move is because it just allows knight g4 straight away, which I didn't capitalize on, unfortunately. I thought this was slightly too soon, because it sort of goes against opening principles to move your piece twice, but it does serve an important function here. The fact that the bishop just has to move, right? You can go like queen d2, queen e2, I guess, but we're just gonna like take probably. Just claim we've got the bishop there, right? We've got a very strong dark squared bishop. We're going for something like c5 straight away and try to blast open the position and make this dark squared bishop better. And it's just really nice. Alternatively, bishop c1 if you're really bothered about keeping it, but then, you know, like you've developed one piece, we've got a few developed. It's not great, but I think with the inclusion of f4, potentially your king's slightly weak in the center. I don't know. Anyway, after a4, I decided to go a6, which is more in line with like normal perk ideas. This is not a normal perk though, which I failed to recognize, unfortunately. Also, castle's probably fine as well. Knight f3, castles, bishop d3, all pretty standard moves. Bishop d3 it's claiming is an inaccuracy. By the way, castle's also an accuracy. It wanted b5, which makes sense. You know, if you're going for this normal perk stuff, just prevent the bishop from getting to c4, because it's really annoying on c4, especially when you castle kingside. You can't really get rid of it, because they can always play something like a3 and hide the bishop away on a2. So that's a good idea. Bishop d3. I don't know why this is an accuracy. E5 apparently good. Yeah, I don't know why it's calling that an accuracy. I think that's perfectly fine. Knight bd7 is the best move. It's standard stuff. You usually get the bishop on this fianchetto diagonal here. After playing something like b5. And then you're looking for like c5 breaks in more tame perk positions. Again, this is not, they have included f4, which does change things. But I think in this situation it's fine. Castles is an accuracy. Again, apparently just because of knight g4. It wants the bishop back to c1, sorry. And you just continue. I think the reason is because after castles you have this weak diagonal that the queen can infiltrate on, as well as opening up this diagonal with c5 as well. So I think that's the reason castling is not ideal here. I decide to go for c5 though. Again, an inaccuracy, which is fine. There is an idea behind this one. I think it sort of ties into what we said before about knight g4. Knight g4 is always up in the air, I think. the key in this position, I think, is just timing it, which I probably mistimed. Like I said, it could have been done earlier, but I think this is fine. But here they make a huge mistake. So you can probably just take this and you're fine. Knight takes. You're probably not going to do bishop takes. Although bishop takes, best move. E5 also apparently playable. And that's fine. The problem with E5 is that tactically it just is not great. And I spotted this tactic. You just go knight G4. Where is the bishop going? You know, if the problem is we have like a fork here, which isn't fun. Not quite, because they do have enough defenders of it, but I think in the end it does end up losing at least a pawn and put you in a very tough spot as well. So my opponent decided on queen e2. If the bishop goes back, I think you can just take one of the pawns. It's saying c takes d4, and after knight takes, you probably just take e5 and you're up a pawn. No, because the knight is hanging. Oh, but the knight counter hangs. Oh, that's so interesting. Queen b6, it's saying, and pin. You leave this hanging. So if queen takes g4, takes d4 with check, king goes to h1, and then take. Oh, knight takes e5, even better. Wow, what a move that is. That is beautiful. The reason is the discovered attack on the queen with the bishop. And then you're threatening this as well, which is quite cool. So queen e2 defends the bishop. And then you go bishop g4 again just to back it up. You can also trade off if you want. But bishop g4 is continuing the attack on the queen, developing pieces at the same time. Queen e4, queen e3, both playable. Either way, you don't defend your queen. Well, you do defend your queen, but you take the bishop because you've got the discovered defense of the queen. Wow, this is fun, right? This is very cool. Anyway, that's not what happened. My opponent decided on queen to e2. I'm obviously going to take the bishop. And then just takes. Queen takes. If knight takes, I mean, you probably take again. And then again, just up a pawn, right? It's pretty simple. They can try maybe something like rook there, but you probably take the bishop. They're not going to do pawn takes, I don't think, maybe, because that looks ugly. And this is hanging as well, which is devastating, actually. So this is just lost for white, completely lost. Yeah, wow, this is so cool. I love this position so much. I was so happy. Yeah, takes, and then knight takes. What really happened was queen takes d4, though. Takes, and then we offer a queen trade here. Otherwise, they would be able to take back, so the queen trade is actually important, threatening the bishop at the same time. Is the reason why this tactic works. They can't take because just bishop takes. And they need the queen to hold on to this pawn as well after takes. And if they move the queen, well, you're just down a piece, right? So you have to take back. Or takes first. I think it doesn't it does because the queen is hanging, right? So you do need to take the queen first. Rook takes, and then bishop takes. We're into basically an endgame at this point. There is slightly more pieces than a usual endgame, but hey, it's a very simplified position. How do we continue this? We're up a pawn. That's it, basically. We have the bishop pair as well, so if we can make use of that, it's going to be fun. The question is, how do we actually make use of this? Rook a to e1, very sensible move. Attacking the bishop and the pawn. I don't really want to go bishop to d6 because that's blocking in my only open file. So I go bishop back to f6, which I think is pretty natural. Bishop check, apparently the best move. And then maybe something like e5, I guess. It actually just wants this. But, you know, when computers see a move that they like, they just go for that, right? Because they can see the future. So I play bishop to f6, which I think is more human. King to h1, I don't know why. I think he was just scared of this check. I don't think it necessarily does anything, but hey. And then bishop to e6. Slightly inaccuracy, apparently. King g7 was wanted for some reason. I have no idea. I just decide to go bishop to e6, threatening takes, and then takes, maybe. This does come with complications, though. Say they waste a move. Takes, bishop takes. They actually have this sneaky move of c4, which I was contemplating. Apparently, this is an even position. So doing this sequence is one way to lose your advantage. So you do have to be very, very careful with that. They decide to go knight e4, which is strange. Maybe they didn't spot that c4 was fine for them after all the dust settles. But knight a4 just seems very inaccurate. In fact, it's classified as a mistake. The reason is your knight's just on the side of the board. Yes, you have some squares. And this is probably actually why they went king h1 as well. To prevent this from happening, let's say they didn't go king h1 and they just go there first. We have check. King there, and then like maybe b5, but the knight just is forced back, really. So it's just nice. Anyway, bishop e6, knight e4. I decide to go rook c8. I am not scared of this because, I mean, where is this knight going? The bishop is absolutely dominating these squares. So the knight would only have, the rook's covering this one, by the way. So after we do something like rook c6, the knight is just forced straight back. At which point you can play b5, which was the point of rook c8, is that we're covering this c3 square. So the knight is actually trapped. And we go up another piece, which is very fun. After takes. So my whole idea after seeing knight a4 was to try trap the knight, which is why I'm not scared of knight b6. And why I go rook c8. Rook f4, I think is a reasonable try, actually. I can't remember why, but I know for a fact this was a reasonable try. Yeah, we're just going to have to take the word for it. Here I go king f8. Apparently you can just take. And this is not scary. Because you have takes, which is quite cool, and you're overloaded the pawns, which were defending the bishop. Very, very cool little tactics there. What did I end up doing? King f8. Not a great move. It walks into some complications with pins. You can no longer take this if the knight ever moves. Because you have a pin on your king and the rook can go ahead and take this. Luckily, this works out in my favor. After b3, I thought was a strange move. They want knight b2, but then I think they realize that this pin is actually quite nasty for me. So they're actually willing to go knight b2 and drag away my bishop from the pin, basically. Allowing tactics for them. I go into this with b5. And I just say bring it on, because I see something slightly deeper than my opponent. Bishop b2. And he thinks I've just blundered the game here because of rook e6. Again, the pin on my king makes it illegal for me to take this rook. Luckily, I see something else. Rook takes d3. Wow. I think that's a pretty cool move. So yeah, you got my bishop there. But I got your bishop there. And in the meantime, I got this knight as well. So I'm just up a piece here. The reason you can't take is because this is a back rank mate. You block a couple times. But it doesn't make a difference. Right? Also, at the same time, taking, I'm threatening back rank mate here. So you have to move and you don't have time to do anything else. Probably just rook e1. Move out of the way of taking. And then probably just rook takes c2, right? Seems reasonable. Yeah, I don't see anything particularly wrong with just takes here. And then you're just up a ton of material, 5 points of material. And you're very healthy, right? And it was after rook takes d3 that my opponent just resigned. So that was a fun game. It shows the importance of knowing the ideas in the opening, even if you don't know the correct move order necessarily. Knowing the themes can put you in a better spot straight away. People put a focus on knowing, like memorizing the moves, like this is this move, this move, this move. But I think personally, like, opening ideas are way more important. Just general themes, knowing where your pieces sort of want to be, knowing what to do if your opponent sort of goes for this plan, not necessarily the exact move order, but and then you rely on your own calculation skills to find what happens after that, and you sort of freestyle from there. But knowing the ideas can give you that head start, and it's super, super helpful. Anyway, the win streak continues. This is game number 2 of the win streak. I hope you all enjoyed. Thank you all so much for watching. Please like if you liked. Please subscribe if you really liked. And I'll catch you guys all later. Bye-bye.